Hi, so welcome back to another video in my Deeper Beauty video series. I'm not sure, I've kind of just like bam, 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 did a few. This is the third one I've done in a very short period of time. And I think this is probably the last one for this kind of quick series. And then I'll probably, if I think of like other ideas and stuff in the future. But in terms of like where my brain has been at recently, this is kind of like the last of the things that I've really feel like I have something to share. And that's what this channel is for, is for me to have my own little space just to be sharing things that I think are important to me and might be useful information to you. Um, so this video, I'm going to go over how, like, things that I've done in order to have a pretty successful project panning experience. I know that my channel and, the things that I've shown in terms of project panning hasn't been for very long, only a few months, but I've actually been on my project panning journey for about 10 years now, like some form of it. I never knew it was called project panning. I didn't know it was called low buy or no buy, or makeup rehab, all these kind of terms that are within this community. But I think my mindset has been in this space for about 10 years now. And I've had my success, I've had my disappointments, and I kind of want to share some things that I've practiced and I've done in order to kind of get myself back into it and be successful. And I feel like I'm in that groove now. So I think I'm like, might as well share now. And then I'll probably have some setbacks, and that's okay. Um, but to be sharing what has helped me be successful, and maybe down the line I'm probably the one that's watching this the most, being like, Jamie, you told yourself to do this back then, or this has worked for you in the past. Like, go back and try to do that again. Like that's super important just in life in general. Like, remind yourself of the good things that have happened in your life and, remember those things. I think as a Christian, like that's something that I always remind myself if I'm, not feeling super close to Jesus, not feeling really, spiritual, is like, where is where's God in my life right now? And I'd be like, oh, I actually remember that he's done XYZ things for me. And not excluding like makeup stuff too. Like he's helped me to make some progress in my like makeup journey, lifestyle, spending, all that stuff. So I might do more videos about that in the future, but for now, I think I just want to share more project painting stuff. All right. So I think for myself, whenever I'm about to enter into a project panning season, kind of like what I am now, and I went from a very minimalistic, at some point I actually had a really minimalistic collection, and I felt like I had it under control. And then it just went poof, out of control. And it started with lips products, and it just kind of like spiraled from there as I got interested in other things. I was I was subscribing to things again or looking into other products again and looking at reviews again. And so, like, once it started kind of spiraling, I was like, oh, okay, I gotta like, again, like put up my boundaries, get back into this mindset of really aggressively project panning and being on a low buy and things like that. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I think like almost day to day, more like week to week now, which is good. But it was honestly like sometimes the day to day struggle of like just trying to get myself back on board, which is fine. So I think the first thing is like, know what my goal is when I'm project panning. Am I trying to be a minimalist? Am I trying to only have one product of every category? That's not always the case for me. I like my variety, so I typically go for maybe like two or three options in a category. But my collection is still bigger than that, so I have things to work through to get to that goal. Um, is it for me to spend less? Usually, yes. And but I think there's also this concept of like, why am I spending, right? Um, I've been thinking a lot about like, so why do I spend? Like, my ultimate goal is probably just like get something that seems new and exciting. Like, a lot of marketing is about your emotions and it's being like, if you get this new and exciting thing, you're going to feel awesome, and so on and so forth. And I just have to recognize that it's doing that when I'm looking for something new, I'm just looking for something new and fresh and exciting. So maybe there's something I can do in my collection where I can do that for myself without spending anything. I'll get into that in a little bit. um is it just to have like less products, right? It's just like this overarching vague goal of being just have less, or just bring in less. And I think sometimes I think we do need to be more specific than that. Is, yeah, it's great to have less, but less of what? Like, what do you truly enjoy and don't mind having maybe more of, but what do you use less? Like, I don't care, honestly. Like, I've realized eyeshadows, I could care less. I have a good decent number of eyeshadows, but they're all the same shade. They're all more highlighty shades, or some sort of beige shade or some kind of contour shade. So I'm hoping I'm working towards a place where I actually don't have any eyeshadows, or at least have only a few of maybe like really special eyeshadow shades that I have, or maybe nostalgic to me or whatever. Like, I recognize like there's sentimental and there's nostalgic items out there. But I think for new items to be like, okay, maybe I can just buy like a face palette and use that for both. Like, that would honestly work fine for me. And honestly, for my face, I use more cream products. And so, anyways, all that to say, I think that there's good reason to be more specific about what you do want more of and what you want less of, and to be realistic with yourself about that. Just because someone else is like, I have 10 of these, doesn't mean that you should have 10 of them. That those are their makeup collections and it's not your makeup collection, and that you need to own your own makeup collection. And yeah, so I think that's some of the things that I tend to think about when I'm about to embark on another project painting season. Is like, what are my goals for this season, and how can I make it fun, right? Like, that's the awesome thing about project painting. Like, make it your own, make it your own unique journey. You can always take ideas and take project painting prompts and instructions and things like that, but like, make it your own, put your own spin on it for what you think could be challenging for you, or to make it easier so that it's more attainable for you, even though like other people might be super, like, they're super panners. I really want, there's a good group of people out there that are super panners, and you guys are awesome. It's so exciting to always see your progress, and you have like tons and tons of empties all the time, and you hit pan on a ton of stuff, and you work through things all the time, and you are super motivating to someone like me, who I'm like mediocre panner. I'm like, I just want to keep my collection new and exciting, and like be working towards some goals. But I am honestly, I use kind of a light hand, so I'm not going to go through things super quickly. And I'm not in a place in my life where I need to put on a full face of makeup, even though I do. And so therefore, I kind of have to weigh my my options there. But yeah, I think that as your life changes too, and your circumstances changes, like, things will also, your goals will change as well, and that's okay. Okay, I think I lost track of my train of thought really quick. So let me go back. I have notes in front of me, which is why I'm looking down. But all right, let me go back to my notes. The next point I've written down is, don't hate pan your products. Don't choose things that you're like, oh, I just want this out of my collection. That honestly doesn't make sense to me, because then you're going to hate your project panning process and progress, and then you're going to just like abandon it, right? I think you do need to have a mix of really good things that you love, things that you're enjoying, things that you maybe do really want to see out of your collection, maybe things that you don't know your thoughts on yet, so you don't know if you want it in or out of your collection. Like, have a good mix of stuff that you're working on, and I think that will make it a lot more enjoyable. And not only that, but if you do find yourself hate panning something, like, think about, why is that? Is it the packaging? Is it the formula? Is it the color? Could it be used as something else? Like, I find project painting to be such a creative process. And so, things like, I really didn't like the packaging on, sorry, I was hoping I would have some examples in front of me, but I forgot. So let me go ahead and pull the few that I was thinking of. So for instance, just recently, I really didn't like this packaging of lip gloss. I was trying to work through this as one of my last main lip glosses I wanted to work through, over the next few months. And I was like, actually, I hate this packaging. It's bulky. I can't get the wand to the sides of the packaging. I definitely can't get to the bottom. I know that. And I just don't know how much is left in here. And so I ended up scooping it all out into this packaging. This says, and it filled up the entire thing, honestly. Like, half of this filled up this entire thing. But this one is slimmer packaging. I can get all around it. I know I can, get every last drop out of this, because I have done it before in this packaging. And so, yeah, I think being creative is super exciting to me. I'm always so excited to share my progress. And I'll typically upload a short about it. So if you're ever interested in what I'm doing, hacking my makeup collection, this is what I'm doing. Like, stuff like this is really exciting to me. So now I'm actually excited to use it as lip gloss, rather than looking at this and just loathing it all the time, being like, how come I'm not making any progress in this, right? And some of my makeup hacks are fails. Like, I'm not super excited about the cream contour that I made myself recently. There's pros and cons to that, but Um, I didn't love the packaging in the first place, honestly. Like stick contours are not my thing, I realized, and that's part of the what you realize through project panning is like what you like and don't like. Um, but I think I realized like, yeah, I like the concept of a cream contour, but whatever I'm doing right now is not working for me, and that's okay. I'll just use up what I can of what's left, and then I probably won't use up all of it. I just know me at this point. I'm not one to ten. I don't tend to use things up to the very, very last drop, which I know it's satisfying, but sometimes I'm just like, I've done my time. Just let it go. Just let me go. Free myself of this product and move on to the next one. And that's okay with me. And there's other products where I do use the last drop, and that's fine too. Um, so anyways, repurposing packaging, like I find decanting stuff into things like I had a sunscreen that I couldn't get the last drop out of, so I put it into a smaller jar. I had another body cream that was in a huge jar, and I was like, I only have a little bit left, so let me put it in this La Mer sample jar that I have. And I just love keeping, I tried to not keep a huge collection, but I like keeping nice packaging, just so that I can, especially nice tiny packaging, so that I can be decanting stuff and kind of yeah, like freshening things up so that my collection feels new and exciting to me while I'm using up my products and I'm not buying anything new, which is awesome to me. And related to that is Franken makeup. I love Franken makeup. Franken lipstick, Franken bronzer, Franken blush, Franken eyeshadow, Franken. I don't know what else I've Franken, but I've almost done it. I found Franken foundation, Franken powder. I've honestly almost done it all, and it's this concept of just like mixing things that you might already be mixing or are interested in seeing what result you have. I think Safia, she's a really popular YouTuber who's done Franken lipsticks and other Frankening things. But I Franken for the purpose of project panning, where it's like I Franken to actually get something out of my collection. So say like my cream bronzer that I was just mentioning, I Frankened 3 products I think in here: a cream bronzer, a lip liner, a primer, and a few pumps of other random stuff. And it made something that's usable. Like I mentioned, I'm not probably gonna use all this up, but I'll use it for at least I think I'm gonna give myself about a month. And it's by frankening, I'm able to use up more products in my collection, move things out, and it's and actually get use on things that I wouldn't use on their own. So another example would be like my eyeshadow base. I really love matte groundwork, but it is like kind of a matte brown. And as you can see, I have kind of this strip of like more shimmery things, and those are all shimmery eyeshadow bases that I just like popped in here. So not like a true Franken where I'm like melting things and mixing it perfectly, but sometimes I just shove things in and just kind of use it up together as I'm using it. And now that I've actually put like I think it was like a cream liner and some other stuff, I'm like, oh, I'm actually using them as I'm using up something that I already was using every day. So again, kind of thinking outside the box, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and that's fine. Um, and I think lastly, as you go through whatever choice you make for your project panning journey, I'm for this video, I'm not getting into like specific types of project panning, like projects and things like that. I think just like the overarching like process and methods that you might use within a project. But I think one thing to really recognize is that there's an ebb and flow to this, right? There's no, especially if you're project panning to get yourself to a more manageable makeup collection or to curb your spending habits or whatever your goal is, like you do end up going back and forth a little bit. Especially like I think typically it's when you actually run out of a product, you run out of a product, an entire category, and you're like, okay, now what do I do? And I think you have choices at that road, right? You have crossroads. Either you buy more product or you can repurpose other products in your collection to meet that need. And I think sometimes I choose to buy a few products in that category because I find it unique, or I have typically some way to justify it, or I just have to really stick to my boundary and say, like I said, I wasn't going to buy anymore, so I have to stick to that. And I think that there are different seasons, right? Like you could go through a few months, a year, a few years of being really, really dedicated to your project planning journey, and then all of a sudden you're like, I think I'm good for now. That was me. Like I was like, cool, I'm like in this, I love these projects, I love doing this. And then I was like, I think I'm good actually. I can take a break from like uploading. I can take a break from trying to show my progress. Like I just don't need that. I mean, I think I was also in a different season of my life too, like outside of makeup. But yeah, for some time I was like, I'm good. I can take a break. And that felt really nice. But then like it exploded in my face again. I was like, all right, I need to get back to it. So I think that there is these ins, there's these outs, and I think that's something I need to remind myself of is like there's no magic solution to this. There's no magic formula to this. Like project planning won't fix anything truly, but I think over time, like I've been able to practice a lot better ways of project planning and finding what works for me and what doesn't work for me. I think something I always want to discuss things that didn't work for me, right? I'm just like, yeah, I did it. But no, some things didn't work for me. I tried utilizing something like a mystery bag type of idea, and I actually wrapped up all my products. I have shorts on this where I was like, yeah, this is a good idea, I think. And it wasn't for me. So I made pretty much all my products a mystery, and I was thinking like, oh, if I run out of a serum, I'll just reach into my serum bag and, pick out a mystery serum and open it and just have to use that. And I found that that's not the type of planner I am. I actually do want to see my whole collection and what's going on, and like not have everything out in front of me. Of course, I have my daily rotation of skincare and beauty products, but I want to be able to pick and choose based on what I'm feeling. Like sometimes I just want something in a certain packaging, sometimes I just want something with a certain formula. Like I'm ready to use this, I'm not ready to use this. And I just needed to have all my products like open and available to me to pick from. Like recently I was out of a moisturizer and I was like, okay, so what do I do now? I don't really feel like dipping into some of the moisturizers that I have open. And should I go buy one? Should I go like what should I do? And I ended up finding that I had a face oil. I was like, all right, let me use this. And I used that for maybe like 2 weeks. And I was like, all right, I'm done with this. I think I'm ready to dip back into my moisturizer collection and use something up. So like I think just to say it's different for everybody, and even for myself I'm like, oh, that was a different choice than I ever imagined. It didn't go to plan, and that's okay. I think the main goal for me as a project planner is to just stop and think before I buy something. I can be super impulsive. I'm realizing like that's just a super weakness of mine. I'm actually really impulsive as a person, and I really hate to admit that because I thought I was like type A, think things through, rationale things, justify things, like take my time to like make decisions. Not with makeup. Like makeup is my space where I can be impulsive. And so I think with that, what I'm trying to practice and continue to practice is like stop and think. What do I have? What can I do? How can I be creative? Like, go through those things first before I'm like, okay, let me actually look for something. And, I have my favorites list, I have my save list, I have my wish list, all those things, but I try not to even touch those too much because I feel like if I keep dabbling in like potentially new items, it still doesn't help me train my mind to be utilizing my own collection as often as possible. So I think that's just something that I tend to have to be careful with. So anyways, I am going to wrap up this video now. And I really appreciate you watching this. And if you've gotten this far, I hope that it's giving you some things to think about. Like this is something I'm kind of leaving this like spree of series a little open-ended even for myself is like, okay, so what types of things am I working on now? I think these are all tips and things that I've worked for me over the last years, but like right now where I'm at, kind of what are some of the things that I'm doing and what are things that I'm thinking through in order to continue to do my best to be successful in my project planning journey. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you and giving your time to watch this video. And so I will see you in my next video. Thanks. Bye.